How's it going, YouTube? We're back with another spicy game. This is from the PBG regional that happened on Friday. So because Digifest was the weekend, we had like a 90-man local at Pro Play Games, which was absolutely insane. This is a match between a red hybrid player and a Lordknight yellow. The Lordknight deck is pretty interesting. You know, we've seen Lordknight sort of resurface into the meta with some new cards. It's pretty cool. This guy has an interesting take. He plays some of the Rasenmon support and the Bulkmon line. Try and utilize the, stay at 3 security, get a bunch of effects. We'll see how this goes. Opponent just, pretty standard red hybrid, I believe. Pretty solid start, having double Flamon, and then the Flamon getting both the Takuya and the hybrid. Absolutely insane, right? We're going to see what the Lordknight player could do. I think the Lordknight deck is pretty solid. If you get the, solid chain, play Lordknight, play that pulse one that gets you security to 3, then you can use the option to restand. Heartplane and Wizardmon, not the ideal play for sure, so I guess he's missing on the 5s. Analog Boy coming out for the red hybrid player, another fantastic card for red. Let's do Fill Your Trash with hybrids, which you wanted to use for your Takuya later on. And then it has just amazing synergy with the Ancient Greymon. When it's going to be deleted by its own effect, you can tap it, gain a memory, potentially continue your turn, which can let you close the game out. So really strong card if you're playing red hybrid, especially if you have the ready, Ancient Greymon. Should definitely be playing the Analog Youth. Okay, looks like the yellow player, he's just finding his pieces, doesn't really have what he needs. Opts not to race out, gonna stick in. And I think red hybrid might just start going aggro, setting up. He still has in the back though, so interesting. I'm curious why he hasn't brought that out and started swinging. Maybe try and cycle through a bit more. Usually you expect the red hybrid decks to be pretty aggressive. Sometimes they're just going through Ancient Grey right away, but sometimes they get a little bit chip damage, while they're doing so. The Gladiemon coming out, the Lordknight player is definitely missing his pieces, and the Gladiemon could definitely help him get what he's missing. But it looks like his security was not that helpful either. I do like Gladiemon as a card, even back in BT5, it wasn't something that every Lordknight played, but I like it, in terms of consistency. He just regularly digivolts into the Burn-In Greymon or Emperor Greymon. I always confuse the names. It's Emperor, right? Burn is the level 4, Emperor is the 6. So he just does the regular, you don't have to cheat him out, you can just regular go into it. Like with Magna, sometimes I just regularly go into Magna, right? It's still okay, still got a pretty decent effect. In this case, Magna is a bit better, but hey, the Blitz is kind of nice. It's a TK, which is pretty good for yellow, and he takes Blinding Ray. So honestly, although not a great start for the yellow player, surely he's got much better plays now, right? He got a free Tamer, a good option. He's got bodies to work with. Maybe he's still missing a level 5, which would be a bit unfortunate. TK should be sending him to 3 as well, so small misplay there. He forgot to, account for the TK memory. Happens to the best of us, but just when you're playing a big tournament like this, just, take a chance, or not a chance, take a second. Make sure you're getting all your effects. He didn't play the game himself, but he did, have it on board. I don't know the name of the level 5 that is on the Rasenmon. I'm not a huge fan of it either. But I do actually like Rasenmon quite a bit. In fact, I think this week I'm going to be playing my Rasen deck at locals. So I'm going to try and record some footage. Maybe we'll get some good games for the YouTube. Because, I have a spicy build. Rasenmon is not that great. It's obviously not a tier 1 deck or anything like that. But it's also not as bad as people think it is what I would say. Ooh, trashes his own Wyverns there. That's a bit unfortunate. I guess he wanted to extend his turn, but he hats in the security. Then he goes into a Lordknight, but it's already suspended. This does let him go into the Chaos Balderon, which lets him finally clear the Burn-In. But, he spent a lot of resources to do that. Has to pass over a ton of memory. And he lost Wyvern's security, which, he knew was in there, right? Obviously, he didn't know it was the next one, but it is a risk at that point. Gonna trade with the Unimon because of the buff. Plays the Takuya. Definitely still feels like it's the red hybrid's game. But at least we got to see a yellow player, have some explosive plays. He was able to go into a Lordknight, but sadly he was forced to go into Balderon. You really want your Lordknight sticking around. This is pretty classic, happened in BT5 all the time, where it's Lordknight's out there and it's so scary. And then when they go into Balderon, you're like, okay, well, sure, it's a 14k beater and it's got an unknown non-deletion effect, but at least you don't have to deal with the Lordknight spam, right? I wonder if the yellow player still plays the Angel one or things like that. Angel 1, it's so powerful. Her effect is not once per turn. And once you restand the Lordknight, you can potentially, summon 2 rookies or, 2 bodies, because Lordknight can get the Nightmon on every swing, and you can swing twice a turn. I think that's the way that Lordknight can be really good in this meta. He still has not promoted the Pokemon, which I'm not a fan of. So, like, you could stay in Racing if you're trying to build your perfect stack. But when you don't have your combo pieces, staying in Racing is going to put you further behind, because you're missing out on the cycle that the Racing area provides, right? Like, think of how long that Bulkman has been in his Racing, pretty much the entire game, right? By now, he could potentially have an extra 2 or 3 draws if he had just brought that body out and then used rookies to Digivolve again, right? So, not a big fan of that. Ancient Greymon, everyone's a big fan of that, right? Swinging for way too many checks, and then Boku's gonna go for game. So I think the yellow player, he stayed in Racing too long. He obviously didn't have the pieces he was looking for. It's understandable that he was just fishing. He had the Gladimon, the TK. He still wasn't really able to find what he wanted. Once he did have a play, he had the Lordknight, but he was forced to, use the Balderarm after, which while it cleared the Greymon, it passed the bunch of memory, and then it was not enough to go for the game there. I think that, anybody could play the game when the deck gives you like your perfect line, right? Like, think of the typical Jessamine player that just has the full perfect line. Like, anybody could do that, right? But it's the great players that could turn those mediocre or awkward hands and still turn those into victories, right? I want to see if the yellow player can bounce back. I definitely want to see more Lordknight, especially in this format. Obviously BT5 Lordknight was public enemy number 1, but now, hey, if you see somebody with Lordknight deck, it's pretty cool, right? We do have a couple players locally that play the deck. So, like I said, over these coming weeks, I'll try and get some more footage of it. I believe both of these guys are from out of state. Like I said, we had so many people visiting for Digifest. So the PPG local was really, really cool. 90% local is absolutely insane. It's like bigger than our standard regionals at that point. All right, coming into game 2 here. We're going to see if Lordknight can get a better start. I do like his Matt, Lobmon, Terriermon, 2 great Digimon. Okay, the red hybrid could be so explosive. It looks like he's going first. Has no rookie, but does have the Marcus to start off. There's, the Pulsemon. The Pulsemon line, pretty crucial. The Gatomon is a bit unexpected, but could just be, pretty solid tech. Thought about going into the War Ground, but I guess he's changing his mind. So I did see a Mastermon in his hand early on, and the Gatomon has, amazing synergy with the Mastermon, so maybe that's the reasoning. Ooh, interesting choice, right? Gotta take the Lordknight, puts the Nightmon on top of his deck. We already knew he had a level 5 in hand, right? So technically he does have pretty much the full chain to start with. You see the Flame one coming out, picks up the Takuya. He had a rookie, and the name is escaping me right now. I should know this. Why am I blanking on the name of the hybrid? The hybrid, right? The 4 that warps into Ancient Green. I don't really play a ton of red, but I definitely should know the name of that. For some reason, I just cannot remember right now. Okay, really interesting the way that Yellow's playing this out, because last game he stayed in Racing the entire game when he didn't have these pieces. And this game he does have the pieces, but he still opts to go out. Now obviously this is good because he gets the War Growl Digiburst, which is pretty strong. And the current red list, they don't have a ton of removal. So I think this is the correct play, right? Like, unless red is going to Gaia Force the Lordknight, you're going to get, good amount of value out of it. The Marcus does not work there because you are not Ancient Gremlin when you attack. Also dies in security, but it was going to die in a turn anyway. But you can see how, on deletion, he gets the extra memory, he gets the hatch again. And that's why the Antelope Youth is so powerful for the red hybrid. Now, that said, after all that, Lordknight is still on the board. He's set up. He's got, memory to work with. Lordknight on the board, so let's see what he could do. Boko gonna pick up an Ancient Greymon and another Analog Boy. Okay. Want to see what the yellow player can do here. Like, you have your Lordknight on board. You're not exactly at the 3 security that you might want to be. But honestly, against red, maybe being above 3 is pretty good. So Lordknight's gonna swing. Maybe like summon a Nightmon, pop the Boko. Oh, it's the Gladimon instead. Ooh, hits Atomic Inferno. That's a scary one. So before that hit, I don't think he had to be afraid of dying or anything like that. But as soon as you check that insecurity, you definitely have to adjust your game plan. You have to rethink, how your opponent's next turn is going to look. and either try and clear everything, not overextend into, you know, more tamers. Definitely super scary stuff. We saw he was playing blockers. Dynasmon, you know, not a bad idea there. That's a way for him to have essentially one more life to work with. Plus he gets to look at the top 6, add 2 level 6 or lower Digimon to, you know, make sure his hand is fixed, like getting that Nightmon can let him get a pretty solid next turn. You know, the Lordknight still hasn't done like the most, but it's definitely, you know, going to be able to do work. Okay, now that said, he did give the red hybrid player 4 memory to work with. Atomic Inferno is in effect, so all his Digimon have secure attack +1, which is just absolutely terrifying to think about. Okay, he gets the G. We'll see if he's gonna warp into the Ancient. Yep, gonna pay the 2, so it's gonna be hitting for 1, 2, 3, 4 checks. Now he does have the Dynasmon though. So yeah, he recovers with Dynasmon and then he's still, you know, the checks left over. Okay, hits TK, honestly, pretty good. Gonna take the level 5, whose name escapes me at the moment. Like I said though, I will try and get some Rats in one gameplay for you guys. The Kari, another TK. It gets another TK, that's pretty funny. And I like how they're all different art TKs. That's actually so funny. But the analog lets them keep turn. Boku gets the swing. And then the Emperor Greymon, he's got the hybrids. That's gonna be game. Wow, so, you know, it's a good game to show the power of the red hybrid. When sort of everything goes according to plan, you can see why the analog boy is so powerful. And while the Lordknight finally got summoned, it just didn't get to do that much. Hitting the Atomic Inferno definitely changes the way that you have to deal with the red deck. I think Dynasmon was a good idea, but ultimately it was just not good enough. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that game. Stay tuned for more matches.